That wasn't my business on that day. I made that vow. And shortly thereafter, I went to a historical black university, Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, which I found out later was one of the 103 historical black universities founded during slavery. I was one of a few women who were in the first class of women in that all-black male school. Whoa, that's a story. And I learned so much about Africa and African Americans there. As a matter of fact, Kwame Nkrumah went to Lincoln University. And while I was there, Stokely Carmichael and Charles Hamilton were writing the book Black Power. And little did I know that that was going to make history. They weren't talking about fists being raised in the air. They were talking about reclaiming our own inner power, our own sense of ourselves, our own love for ourselves and one another, which had been stripped from us around the globe, and stepping forward and claiming economic, political power. And I recognized, though, on that day when I was 15, and I heard all of the speeches, and all of the various ways that the word freedom was spoken and sung, I had no idea then what I knew when I listened to Stokely and Charles, and that is that my generation had a different take on what transformation of society would look like. We were too impatient to wait. We wanted freedom now. And so shortly thereafter, I read an article in a magazine about this organization called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. I go, whoa, for self-defense, for protection against sanctioned state violence. An organization created by two young black men to change the way in which the infrastructures of the United States government housed, fed, clothed, and positioned people of African descent. Remember slavery, and the impact of it was uninterrupted by anything. There was no healing intervention. And so there I was at age 18, pondering what I was going to do. Should I stay in college? Or should I leave with my friend John Huggins and join the Black Panther Party? And I said to John, I'm going to California to join the Black Panther Party and to free Huey Newton, the leader of the party. You coming? And he was ready to go anyway. I'm not encouraging anybody to leave college. That is not my point. It was what I had to do. And so we arrived in Los Angeles, an 18 and a 21-year-old. And I learned that the Black Panther Party was unlike any other organization for African Americans that I knew about, because it wasn't just for black people, although all of us were black. It was for all of the oppressed people all over the world. And how did I know that? Because I read the 10-point program that was written on a little tiny folding table at a small community college by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, the co-founders of the party. We want housing fit for the shelter of human beings. Don't we, Soweto? We want education that exposes the true decadent nature of the society we live in. We want a sense of self. We want the end to police brutality and murder of Black and oppressed people. We want land. We want food. We want clothing. We want housing. We want justice. We want peace. And we didn't just want it for Oakland or California or the United States or just North America, but for the whole globe. It was an international organization. Though, of course, mass media wasn't going to tell us that, right? The mainstream media had another thought. And so we knew that this 10-point program, after a short while, was a blueprint for revolution. I'm sad to say that 50 years later, the points in that program have not been fulfilled, but we put it out there. And then we formed a communication tool to disperse the 10-point program all over the globe, and that was the Black Panther Party newspaper that went everywhere. It went places we couldn't walk to. And you see, the Black Panther Party wasn't just students, like myself at the time. Vietnam vets joined the Black Panther Party. Former school teachers, students of all kinds, including high school students. Gang members that had been politicized all over the country, as a matter of fact. People who had found a life in the streets were coming home. They were coming in to the Black Panther Party. Our motto was, our slogan was, all power to all the people. Think about it. The government thought about it, and they recognized us to be a great threat to their cozy, comfy position. As a matter of fact, we were so despised by the government that at the time, the Attorney General of the United States said, we will wipe them out in 1969 by any means necessary. And the head of the Domestic Intelligence organ, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, said, the Black Panther Party is the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States. And we were median 19 years old. 19. How many people in this room are 19? 18, 17, 20. Keep your hands up. That's right. So, we were really loved in our communities, and so they didn't care what the newspaper said. They didn't read them anyway. They loved us. They fed us. They took care of us. They hid us out. They did everything that a village does for the people who live within it. That Black Panther Party newspaper was really phenomenal, and I wish I could show you copies of it. Because we were the vehicle for telling people what was going on in South Africa, in Ghana, in Vietnam, in all over South America, in Latin America, and right in all of the states of the United States. We had 40 chapters of the Black Panther Party in the United States, and 5 or 6 chapters internationally, including the Dalit Panthers in India, in Auckland, New Zealand, the Polynesian Panthers, and places in Mexico and in other parts of Africa adopted not only our 10-point program, but our survival programs that were attached to those 10 points, like our free breakfast for children program, our free health clinics, our food programs, our busing to prisons programs, and on and on. Not only did the Black Panther Party newspaper give voice to people who had no voice, it also gave us visuals, art, poetry, culture. We knew that people needed basics. We knew that they needed to eat. They needed to feel as if there was a penny for the next day. They needed shoes for their children. We knew that we weren't going to foment revolution in people who were worried about when their next meal was coming. And so the community survival programs, which fulfilled a purpose, survival pending revolution, brought people into political understanding and social understanding that they never had before. But we didn't tell people how to think. We didn't tell them what to think. We went to people and we said, what do you need? How can we be helpful? And they let us know. And that's how the programs were developed. We weren't particularly well loved by radical intellectual organizations who thought we were giving away too much to people. But we knew our people. There was so much our people needed. To give you a quick example of what I'm talking about for today and the impact of those community survival programs today, when I was in Brazil a few years ago, a young man stood up in a crowd like this of